The thoughts and opinions expressed by these two fools are theirs and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of the NFL, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts, or the Greater Paincourtville Chamber of Commerce. Void where prohibited. If itching persists, consult your doctor.
Well, I guess it's 3, 2, 1, and
go.
We're here. Hi, everybody.
It's real. It's real. Can you believe this?
Pinch me. Oh, actually don't. Hey, it's I'm Dave,
and I'm Juan.
We nailed that part of it. Welcome to the. Nah, we're ready to blow it, right? Welcome to the first edition. We've done promos, right? Welcome to the first edition of Dave and Juan.
One more time.
Is it one more time or more time?
One more time. It's more time.
One more
Dave
time.
And Juan.
It's a play. It's a play on your name, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, you get that now. How many people are terribly disappointed when they figure out that you do not speak Spanish?
It's an odd thing. I worked in Miami for some period of time, not very long, but I once went to an event and had the "Hello, my name is Juan" name tag on. I only did it once.
Because only once. I was meeting with the senior management of a bank in Miami, and I had never been to Miami alone before. And at the time, it kind of scared me. It was intense. It was the first time I'd walked into a bank building with several armed guards, right? Not just one. The armed guard had backup. And my guy gets me in there, and we go back to this room, and I'm supposed to meet with these gentlemen. And I'm sitting there, and the guy I'm with tells me, "Yeah, look, don't get intimidated." And I'm just like, that's never a good start when saying, so these guys come in, and there's like 5 or 6 of them. They all have on dark suits, right? Crisp, man. They all look tight. They look like a movie, right? It looked like a movie. They sit down. They start at different times. They start popping their sleeves. They're all wearing rollies, right? I mean, it's just like, man, what kind of bank am I dealing with here? And I was just all nervous as get out, and I started talking. And thankfully, about 2 minutes into this, they relaxed a little bit, and then they ordered. They had somebody bring in Cuban coffee. You ever had Cuban coffee?
Yeah, was it in a small cup?
Oh yeah. They bring them out, right?
Yeah.
Nobody warned me.
It's like doing a shot.
I'm a coffee drinker. I'm a South Louisiana coffee drinker. And I pound while I'm talking, because there's just a tray of them. I pound 3 probably in the first 2 minutes, because they're little bitty cups of coffee and they're pretty good.
Like a medicine cup.
About 10 minutes later, while I'm ranting and raving and talking, I can hear a noise. And I'm trying to think, what's that? That's annoying, man. Somebody's being, who's tapping their foot? I can hear a noise. It was my own dang hand on the side of me. Just that's when you know, I got some caffeine in this thing. I'm just
yeah, it's strong stuff, man.
Not like in the old days, the old radio days. We and that's, by the way, how we ended up starting doing this.
Long time ago.
We met in college, and it was funny because my wife asked me. I've got one of those, by the way. You've got
I do as well. I enjoyed it so much. I've done it twice.
You've done it twice.
Yeah.
You're one up on me, and I'm not racing you. My wife asked me, well, how is it? What are the odds that you guys worked together in college, and then you did radio again later on professionally? And I was kind of laughing, thinking, not like there's a whole lot of radio stations and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that professional thing is a label unto itself.
This is the fun part of radio, right? This is the hanging out, talking to people. This is fun. Everything else, not so much. Getting up at 4:15. Yeah. Back in the days, you had to do show prep, which meant you had to actually buy a newspaper.
There was no internet.
No internet, right? You had to do your own, search. And that was my routine, head on in, hit a gas station, get a Times Picayune and a Hugh Big Pie.
That was breakfast right there, man.
That was show prep, man. That was good stuff.
Yeah, talking about Hugh Big Pies. So every day that I worked at the radio station with you down the bayou, my breakfast consisted of 2 Lego waffles and Steen's syrup. Yeah.
Hey, Steen syrup, man.
That'll kick you.
Shout out Yellow Can.
But so, and I guess it's just one of those things that, literally 5 days a week, 2 waffles in a toaster and Steen syrup. I haven't eaten a waffle in 30 years.
Seriously.
Since then. Yeah.
So just working with me.
That's right.
Gave you the taste of waffles.
Yeah, it gave me that,
bro. So episode 2, we making waffles. That's we'll get that taken care of. It's funny you bring up food. Because I got feedback, I got text, actually got a phone call. And that's when serious, nobody calls and I got a phone call about a wiener spaghetti. About mentioning, and here's the funny thing. We talked about last time, I'm going to defend wiener spaghettis. It's one of two groups. If you
that you call it spaghettis as though it's plural.
It's I
guess spaghetti dishes.
Spaghettis. Yeah, you can do there. You have different types of depending on how fancy you want to get, right? So there are two camps, and that's people who have actually eaten a wiener spaghetti, and they are, man, bring it, awesome, and people like yourself who never have, right? You don't quite have the palate. You should. It's excellent stuff. Like a buddy of mine called me up, and what's funny was he referenced it as peasant food. He said, "Oh man, I love." You never seen the movie Ratatouille, right? No. There's an awesome scene at the end of the movie, and I don't see any movies. I just love the fact that I saw a movie that you didn't see. But there's an awesome scene at the end of Ratatouille where the food critic, the hardcore food critic, is served ratatouille, which is, I guess, apparently a peasant's dish. It's a very simple dish that a big, fancy restaurant would never serve. And he takes it and he takes a bite, and it's a flashback to when he was a child. And it's actually, shout out to Pixar for that great movie. It's a great scene. And so if you're from the bayou, or my part of the bayou, wiener spaghetti is like ratatouille. You just, it's a flashback. One of my neighbors said, "Hey, bring some over. Next time y'all make some, I want to try it." And I had to tell him, my wife refuses to make it. Refuses, right? She hates hot dogs. She says that, that's all the hot dogs. You like hot dogs?
I love hot dogs, man.
Okay, now I don't know how can you not. I don't know how you could turn your nose up on a wiener spaghetti.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try it.
You do. And they got people out there thinking well, anyway, my wife hates it. She says that's the worst parts of it's like a liquefied meat they put in a tube. And I got no problem with that whatsoever. It's a delicious gelatinous tube of meat, but yeah, so it's nothing to it, man. It's spaghetti. It's the back in the day, Mom used to do, tomato sauce. You'd have to, you'd warm, tomato, chop up an onion, brown an onion. Mm-hmm. So just basically it's tomato sauce, like making a spaghetti, but instead of meatballs, chop up some wieners, man.
So do you go for the high end wieners, or do you like the
no? I even asked my mom, and she's probably getting a little aggravated with all the wiener spaghetti questions I have. But I have relatives, a nephew of mine who, because my mom's the only person I know that still makes it. He sent me a picture the other day. He was, overeating, rubbing it in. It was over at my, my mom, and I looked at it, and we had like quite a long text, like, "Oh man, wiener spaghetti. What kind of sauce did you use?"
I've seen pictures where people will actually put the spaghetti before it's cooked or boiled through the wiener.
That's insane. That's
and do like 5 or 6 things.
That's mental. I don't know what that.
Too high end for you, man.
Yeah, way too high end. Well, once I was in Cincinnati. Well, I was in Cincinnati a lot, but one of the first times I was in Cincinnati, they brought me to a place called Skyline Chili. It's one of those things, right? If you're from that area, you know what it is, and they have chili so many ways, and it all starts off with spaghetti. So the bottom of this thing is just spaghetti. It's a bowl or whatever it is, spaghetti, and then you can get either chili on it or a various cheese. You just keep adding it up. And they also serve at this place hot dogs. You can get hot dogs. And I'm sitting there eating with these folks, and I look over and they got this guy next to me, and he's got, spaghetti, chili, and he had a hot dog on it. Now his wasn't cut up. And I'm like the Cajun in the group saying, that's a Wiener spaghetti. Like, don't, that dude right there is living life. Like, they can call it what they want in other parts of the world. That's a Wiener spaghetti. But there you go. And my friend even started telling me about the other one was smothered potatoes. I think we called it ragu. Was it ragu patat? Is that how they said? You basically smother potatoes, but you chop up wieners in there.
Oh,
now what you making a face? Do you eat potatoes?
I do, but not.
Do you eat wieners? We've established you're a weenie fan.
But not together, man. Not
in
together.
fact, you want the lower end wieners that actually have some food dye in it because it'll turn the potatoes pink. Man, I'm telling you. You're from the big town of Paincourtville.
That's right, man. Panko City.
Paincourtville. It always read Paincourtville to me. Like where and so that's what's that name about?
There are a couple, it's a mythological city. So there's some legends about it. What's
the legend of Paincourtville?
Well, apparently Paincourt means short bread. So the story goes there are two variations of it. There was a baker there. And one version is he served little short po' boy breads, so short bread. The other version is the dude was always out of bread, so he was short of bread. That's Paincourtville. So,
but I want to point something out there. It must have been one impressive dude that they named the city.
That's right, man.
Either after the fact he made really good bread, or this jackleg was always out of bread. What was the food like when you were growing up in school? The school lunches.
No, you paid a quarter for it. And it was, you should have got change.
No, really?
Yeah,
man, our food was kicking.
No.
To this day, if they were able, and God love the ladies that work that lunchroom because I'm sure they're not around anymore, but if they could find the recipes of the ladies that ran the Galliana Junior High lunchroom, dude, that's a restaurant I want to invest in. They could.
The rice dressing at my elementary school, rice dressing and the meat pie was like, to die for.
The meat pie.
I love meat pie still. Everything. Look, if you had red beans and rice and you didn't want the beans on the rice, tough. They were putting it on the rice.
That's right. Yeah, we didn't get options. Yeah.
There was no variation.
It wasn't a buffet. You went like a prison. The food was great, but it was like a prison. But it was last week. You see the flight in Denver?
Yeah.
The United. And I fly United all the time, right? So now I haven't in a while because of the pandemic and stuff, but I'm a frequent flyer United. So whenever I see a United accident, I'm like, oh, I could have been on that plane. And did you see what happened in Denver?
I saw the engine fell out.
Well, it didn't totally fall out. It blew up. It was just so big sections of it were in the neighborhood. And I fly in and out of Denver all the time. So I'm like, not that I've been in those neighborhoods, but you never know what happened. But I thought that was it. You rarely get footage of the plane. Well, somebody filmed from inside the plane. I
saw that.
Yeah, this part of an engine that's left is on fire, right? And I'm watching this thinking, okay, first of all, shout out, there's only 2 engines on these things, and they blew one up, and we're still able to land the plane. So shout out to
that's whoever the pilot is.
Hey, good for you. But thankfully, when that engine blew up, it didn't take out a good chunk of the wing. Because here's a little known fact: you can land a plane with one engine, you can't land a plane with one wing. Doesn't work. But I'm watching that thinking, if I'm on that flight after we land and I'm all like, thank you and everything, I'm a little ticked off at the fact, before they got on that flight, man, these people got beat up about safety, right? You got to let me put my seat back up. I got to do that.
Because that's going to make a difference. That tray is down when you 100%,
crash. Man. We got to do all that. And now you got to wear masks and safety. So I'm sure they were inundated with, a 10-minute safety speech. And my thing is, could you focus a little of that energy?
Yeah. Could somebody out there check the engine and let's not worry about the tray?
on one of those big things that, yeah, a little bit, but thankfully everybody's safe. And
I'm just amazed though, at the people who, everybody videotapes everything now. I don't know that my first reaction, if I see an engine on a plane that I'm
you're
riding
on. Yeah.
blowing up, is to, oh, where's my phone? I need to get footage of this.
I would like to say I wouldn't, but I don't know. I think I might. I think I'd get my prayer said. I'd try to get right with the Lord real quick, and yeah, I might film it. I ever tell you about the first time I flew a plane?
No, you're a pilot?
No, not a pilot. Not a pilot. In fact, the first time I flew a plane was about 12 seconds after my first lesson. That happened about, I don't know, 5,000 feet in the air in a prop plane. I'm not a fan of anything that prop plane. We used to fly a company I worked for in North Georgia, and there was a little airport. I would drive all the way down into Atlanta. I get on the big planes. I was fine with that. But my boss had, now later on in life, the company got even bigger. They were flying net jets. That stuff was great. I'd have loved to get on a net jet. But back when I was there, it was this prop deal. And I just didn't, old plane. And the pilot that we had most of the time was this guy, and he was awesome. I think he owned the airport. He did own the airport. He also owned the little airport out there.
Wow.
He was awesome. He was also like 75 years old and had lived a wonderful life. And those are two things you don't want in a pilot. But I was down in Tampa, and my boss and his number two were I was in Orlando. They were in Tampa. And instead of, I was going to just jump on a jet, plane to get back to Atlanta, they said, no, we'll pick you up in the plane. And I was like, yeah. So I was at this private airport, and the pilot wasn't our normal guy. It was a retired pilot from Delta Airlines. And this guy, he was a cool guy. He used to fly 747s. He was, he knew what he was doing. It was his first time he ever flew this little plane was coming down from Georgia to get me. Okay. So he's just sort of kind of figuring this plane out. And we taxi out to the runway in the little airport in Orlando, and he had me sit up front. He had me put on the air sets so I could hear. And I'm like, I don't need to hear this. I don't want to. I really don't want to hear what's going on.
I'm good.
I don't want to know. So then they point to some runway and they tell them, yeah, the runway, blah, blah, blah. It's, I forget how many 100 feet or maybe 2,000 feet, or they gave them like, this is how long the runway is. It says, how heavy are you? They're asking him, how heavy are you? I'm not making this up. I'm sitting there going, no. You're just going to say, no, we're good. We're going to wait for a longer runway. He looks around. And I forget what he told him, but like he's winging it. Rough estimate. And they said, well, the temperature is this, humidity is this, and they said, and they gave him the choice. They said, well, it's up to you. Think you can do it? Not making this up.
I think I can.
He pauses for a sec. He looks around and goes, yeah, I think we can do it. I don't know how often in a plane, the pilot sitting in front of the plane, that's the thoughts in their heads. Like, hey, what you think?
Yeah, that you kind of want the pilot to have some sense of confidence.
Dude, we used every foot of that runway. Now he was probably waiting to pull up. I mean, we were just like, and I'm looking because in front of that runway is just a swamp where we were going. I'm just like, oh, geez. We get up, we take off. Boom. We get off. Thank you, God. We got up. We weren't up 20 seconds. Some idiot in one of those hang gliding, ride a bicycle, motorized nonsense things. And he was probably a couple 100 feet from us, but in the air, that looks like I can touch you. Right? He goes by. So the pilot gets on there, starts telling the tower, hey, we got an idiot out here on the bike, whatever. And then he looks at me and says, listen, they got geese in the area. I just been told there are geese in the area. I need you to keep an eye out for geese. So I'm on goose watch now. So we've already established we got chitty chitty bang bang flying through here, right? We used up everything. I'm still barely off my prayer of taking off. Now I'm looking for geese, right? So I don't know what I'm gonna, what am I gonna do, right? Like goose, boom. I don't know what's gonna happen. So finally we get out of geese, whatever, and he says, I need to pull out a map to figure out exactly where I'm going, whatever. So I had to pull your seat up, and he said, I'm going to give you, and he says, you pull back, you push up 11. He literally gave me like a 12-second tutorial on keeping this plane. Well, if you've flown, like, look, and I'm sure you do it a little bit, it gets easy, but you push up. It's hard when you don't know what you're doing to keep a plane level.
Well, not just hard, it's a little bit scary. Yeah.
Just a little bit. While he's reading a map. Okay.
Breaking out the world atlas.
And I'm just like, so the flight is basically doing, we're doing this the whole time, right? Now he's fine. He's a pilot. I'm making myself nauseous. Like I can't. So after about a minute of this, I'm just, dude, you're about to find out what I had for breakfast. All right. You need to, and he takes it back. He gets it there. And then he says, as we approach, because, Orlando to Tampa is not a four flight at all.
Minutes.
And he tells me, all right. So I'm hearing, I forget what the excuse was, but he says, we're going to bank pretty hard. So when a pilot's telling you we're going to bank and drop pretty hard. All right. And then also look out, and one of the engines has oil. There's oil, a little bit of oil coming out there, which he tells me is fine.
He probably missed a goose.
Happens all the time. And I remember right there, and this was so many years ago, I said right there, that's when you start doing your prayers and you say, God, if you get me safely to the ground, I am never getting on this plane again. Now I'm making a commitment because I'm landing in an airport. Like I'm waiting for the boss and everything. And I'm supposed to be on this plane to get back to, and we got there and I was white as a ghost and took my bag off the plane. He was like, what are you doing? I'm like, nice meeting you, bro. And walked inside, saw the boss and said, hey, what's up? And I said, yeah, I'm going home commercial. And they're like, why? We're here. And I'm like, I don't care if I got to pay for it myself. He goes, oh no, if you don't feel good, we'll pay for it. I'm like, and I flew and I never got on that plane again. And it's
just the small planes are just scary to me. And it's like, it's almost like you're fishtailing down the runway when you land and stuff. And it's just,
yeah. And when you're up, the pilots have a weird sense of humor too. Like I had one guy we'd fly with, and he's a great guy, but we'd fly over mountains and he'd point to where crashes happen. Yeah. Like who, thank you.
Did they have like when you're driving down the interstate, did they have
the cross? No, they didn't have they didn't have any of that. But he would tell me the stories about, what they did. And he would tell me the mistakes they made that, that led to that crash. And part of me's thinking, I wonder if one of the mistakes they made were telling a story.
Instead of watching where you're going. Hey man, in and out. We're going to do well. It's,
Well, here's the deal too. We got to come back to some of these things. We'll tell stories and stuff later on. I was just jotting things down this week. A friend of mine that reached out, and when he heard we were back, and I'm sorry, anybody who's outside of Lafourche Parish or Terrebonne Parish might not get this, but he would like us in the future to settle the running dispute of why the Terrebonne, and I guess that's what you call Terrebonne, the Terrebonne, why don't they follow suit when playing off card, when playing Pedro? Now, when I started reading this, I was like, oh yeah. He says every Lafourche, every Lafourche, and I guess that's people from my part of the world, knows you have to follow suit to pass the Pedro at the end of the hand. There's nothing that ever cleared out the Nickel State Union and sent people back to class more than a dispute about not following suit when playing the off card. It does not make sense. Nickel State University is in Lafourche Parish. Lafourche rules, period. Dude, that's 30 years of anger. I think that guy had.
He's been holding back on that.
He's been holding back. Oh, he went on. He even had, look, listen, we didn't even ask for stuff yet. Right. By the way, we will. Dave and Juan at protonmail.com. You can email things and we'll talk about stuff later on. But he says he has theories about why Terrebonne doesn't follow suit. And he's saying he thinks that they have 3 down the bayous and maybe they have an identity crisis. Says Terrebonne used to be part of Lafourche and maybe they have abandonment issues. He said another theory is all the Texas people that moved to Terrebonne Parish in the oil field and they think they're playing Texas Hold'em. My favorite is he thinks
he's giving this a lot of thought.
Way too much thought. My favorite one is says he thinks Terrebonne is arrogant because they have an Olive Garden.
Unlimited breadsticks.
So we will we'll have to circle back to that and we'll take people's input.
That's a whole show right there.
Or not. Just feels appropriate to periodically do the Cooyon of the week.
That's right, man. It's what else could be funny about South Louisiana? What's more natural? We all know Couyons, whether we know the word or not.
Right. And it's, you know, for those of you not from South Louisiana, Cooyon basically means Bialk.
Yeah. It's another, I'm sure.
It's another Bialk. I hope that's not a curse word. I've used it so many times. But
this guy in my third grade class, his nickname was Bialk.
Oh, I know a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of guys, and there was nicknamed Foo. And Foo meant crazy. I mean, but I'm sorry. So we digress there. So who's our Cooyon of the week?
Cooyon of the week. All right, I'm going to pull it up on my phone here.
Now explain who this person is and how'd you get it.
This is actually the son of a friend of my wife's.
All right.
And so his mother sent this video out to her group of friends, and in total panic and shock over this, and in worry about her son. My wife showed it to me. I thought it was the funniest thing I had seen in a long time. And I just laughed, and I was, totally, they were all totally offended. Let me turn the sound off. So basically this guy works at one of these drive-through car washes.
Okay.
They're pretty common around here. And he's standing in the elevator, the vacuum bay area, and just kind of standing there piddling around on his phone or looking around.
I saw that part. He walks up looking at his phone,
away,
chilling.
And you can see here his car is backing out from vacuuming in his car. It just bangs straight into the guy. He didn't get hurt. He twisted his knee or, not anything crazy. But just the reaction of the kid when he gets hit by the car is amazing. And then the guy drives off. So I guess the question is, who you think is the Cooyon in the story might depend on what side of the story.
I believe you can qualify that as deux Cooyon. There's two. There's two Couyons there. Because I watched that, kind of chuckled, say, "It's good. Okay, he's not hurt." My first thing I thought of, good to be young.
Yeah.
Good. It's good to be young. Like you can take a nice little shot back, a clip. He was clipped, right? Just clean, boom. Barely lost his balance.
Yeah.
Head snap
if
back.
I walk up the stairs 3 times in a day, I got to lay down for another 2 hours.
Yeah. No. So, head snaps, recovers, doesn't go down, and then kind of struts out and being cool. Like when you almost trip and you try to act like you meant to do that.
That's the thing about a kid. You fall down or you get knocked down. The biggest priority is, did anybody see me? And if nobody did, I want to make sure nobody notices that anything went wrong.
I don't know if that's a kid thing. I still do that. I mean, I actually own it, because if I trip on something and I don't go down, I'm proud as all get out. I'll be doing like a touchdown dance. But yeah, the guy driving the car's got to be. I mean, that's Cooyon number 2 on that one. That's
yeah.
And you know what else that told me? That car ain't got no beeps.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled by the beeps. So next week I want to talk about a couple things I got some advice for Skechers tennis shoes. You're an old guy like me. You own Skechers? Older. You own Skechers?
Of course I do. Who doesn't?
Of course. If you get a certain age, you buy Skechers. I got advice for them. They could charge more if they took the logo off. Just gonna leave it at that. We would pay more not to advertise the fact that we are. And again, don't get me wrong, they're great shoes, but we could do without that. We're coming past the season of the deer kill pictures. Trying to get my head around the deer. And don't get me wrong, I got family that does it and everybody. But
I am, not a fan.
There's something about
not an enemy, but there's something
about celebrating the death of a beautiful animal. Just they don't make deer hot dogs. You know that? Because that's some. Man, I could go for a deer.
You can get deer sausage though, man. Deer sausage is good.
A deer wiener spaghetti, bro. Gonna make that happen. All right. So we're gonna check out. It's reach out to us if you want to. It's Dave and Juan at protonmail.com and send us email
on Facebook.
Facebook
Dave and Juan
and
more time on Facebook and on YouTube. And the is the ampersand.
I don't even know how to spell that.
I learned how recently.
Prod you can say it. And then daveandjuan.com, our website is on the way. We got to figure out exactly what it is. We got a great guy getting ready to do it. He's amazing. We just, I'm just thinking a picture of you.
Yeah, that would be not so good.
Nah, I think so, man. Somebody emailed me and said, man, your friend looks like a college professor.
Yeah, that's
And I responded back that you mean community college. All right, man. Peace out, brother. Love you. Bye.
See you next week, man.